Let's do this. Hey everybody, what is up and welcome to today's quick live stream. I'm super excited about the announcement that we have for today because this has been way anticipated. We are launching today a new Framer course. So if you've been living on the internet, design internet recently, you know there's been tons of hype around Framer, a new tool for building websites super fast, very easy, using AI. And so we are very happy and proud to bring a great Framer Masterclass into the house of Flux Academy. We've got the best Framer instructor in the world right now, the face of Framer education, Ryan. Without further ado, let me introduce Ryan. Hey Ryan, what is up?
Hey, Ryan. Thanks for the intro, man. You really put me on a pedestal there. I don't know how I can keep up with that.
All right, let's do a quick introduce yourself for the people who haven't yet seen you on the channel, and then we'll dive through the course. We'll show you everything that the course includes, what's in it, why get it now. By the way, if I haven't said, in a true Flux fashion, we do have an early bird pricing this week. So if you want to get the course at the best price possible, check out the link below this video. Ryan, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then let's dive into the course.
For sure. Hey everyone, my name is Ryan Hayward. I'm an official Framer mentor, and I've been teaching people how to build awesome websites and level up in Framer for the past few months. And obviously we're releasing this course today with Flux Academy, which is super exciting. Little quick background about me, if you don't know who I am, which I'm going to presume majority of you don't. I've been building websites for clients with no code and tools like Webflow in the past for over 5 years. My background's in like freelance design. I've built, previous to this, design communities where I've helped cool brands like Adobe and EditorX and Wix and other amazing creatives actually build education for other designers, as well as doing that for myself. So I've got a lot of experience in terms of creating content and creating just really cool educational experiences for the online design community. And obviously I'm one of you guys too. I create a lot of websites and things like that for clients. And when I came across Framer, like it was just one of those aha moments. It felt unique. It felt familiar at the same time. And that was extremely valuable. So I kind of found this like golden nugget within Framer, and I realized there's a huge potential here for all the designers around the globe to become this, pro of like not only designing websites, but also building it too. So I'm really excited to be on this call with you, Ryan, and kind of, launch this Framer Masterclass, which has been a ton of work, but it's finally out there, out into the world. We've got students from all ends of the world learning Framer, which is awesome to see. And we're just super happy just to create this opportunity of education within
Amazing.
the
So
Framerverse.
let's drive right into it. I want to show people what's in the course. I want you to explore what they're going to learn,
sure.
how this looks like, and yeah, let's show them what's inside.
For sure. For sure. So inside, there's a bunch of different modules. In fact, there's over 60 different lessons here. So over 8 modules, we actually learn everything from the fundamentals. So we talk about sizing, layout, positioning, and all the kind of key components that are really fundamental to actually mastering Framer. We also talk about everything else in between, like how do we use slideshows and videos and icons in the correct way. Even understanding what's the best practices for publishing your site. We really do go deep into some of these. And, even though some of them only go for like 3 minutes, like we really put everything into each lesson here to make it as punchy and as valuable as possible, so you can actually learn Framer in the least amount of time and actually feel really confident in the end with the tool. The next module we look at is components. Now, components is a big one in terms of how we actually build things within Framer. So components are essentially reusable things or elements that you'd use on your website. So a button, a navbar, a footer, all these sort of elements that you'll reuse are components. And components can actually be really powerful. So we actually do a lot of we go deep into actually learning how you can use a component and actually some of the advanced things you can do with components too that aren't necessarily things that you would expect. We also dive deep into the CMS. So if you're coming across from Webflow, I'm sure you're familiar with how a CMS works. Pretty similar with Framer, but there's a few different things that you need to learn. So we actually go through and understand how to use the CMS and how to apply it to its best ability. Next, and one of the really powerful things that I found, especially coming from Webflow, was Framer effects, which is essentially Framer's way of doing animations, and how powerfully simple it was to actually make my website come to life with these amazing animations that literally took if no time at all. And it, like, from someone who doesn't have a background or really understands animation too much, like, it was really easy to actually like understand and be able to apply these beautiful effects to my website in no time. So I really do dive deep into like understanding the different sort of effects and when to use them and how to use them and how to best use them. Often you see websites that, overdo effects, and it's really important to make it subtle but not overdo it. So we really dive deep into that as well. And I will mention, like, through all these sort of lessons and modules here, there's heaps of different resources and remix links to Framer projects that we've included. So you can see here, like, we've got different demos within each sort of module. There's normally like at least 2 or 3 different like resources that you can actually like download and use. So you can kind of like learn along with us rather than just consuming this content. And then we also look at like different advanced use cases. So even though Framer is just built for, websites, you could say, there's actually a lot more you can do on top of that. One of the really powerful things you can do with Framer is things like override code, which actually allows you to build these more custom solutions on top of Framer. So we look at that. We also look at how you can use some cool elements like building a custom search bar or even using Framer AI, which I think is a powerhouse for designers to actually like kickstart your process and actually make that journey even quicker. And then almost lastly, we kind of bring it all together. So we take everything we've learned and we actually build out an actual landing page. And I'll take you through this whole journey. And this is the actual landing page that we'll build. And you'll notice like it's super clean, it's super minimal. We've got these nice designs. And from every step of the process, from designing it in Figma to pressing publish in Framer, I actually take you through this entire process of building this landing page. And just from the students that we have, they've found it extremely valuable to kind of see this all come together. And again, like, you guys can follow along with this. We've got all the tools and things you need and all the resources to kind of follow along. And then lastly, I think this is almost one of the most important modules, in my opinion, and one that I'm most passionate about, which is like, you can learn all this stuff, you can learn Framer, but like, what's the real value unless you can sell it to a client or actually make money out of it? So we've put a lot of energy into this module specifically, which is the Making Money with Framer module, where we actually teach you how to sell this to clients. If you've already had experience selling Webflow to clients, this will definitely be an easy sort of transition, but there's a bunch of other goodies here. And I think one of the big key differences with Framer compared to Webflow or any other sort of like website builder is they're actually building this really great ecosystem for creators. They've got a bunch of different programs like the partner program and the expert program, which essentially unlocks this new opportunity and new revenue stream for you as a designer. And that can be really powerful. And then lastly, like, if you've gone through the whole course and hopefully you're feeling really confident with Framer, we actually have a bit of a certificate process where there's like a real simple quiz. And then if you pass that, you get a certificate from us saying you've essentially completed the course, which is awesome. And of course, and I'll probably let Rand speak to this a little bit more, but you get support throughout the whole journey with Flux Academy.
Yeah, of course. One of the reasons that we wanted to bring this course into Flux Academy is because we have amazing community of thousands of designers who are interacting with one another, helping one another, hiring one another, giving opportunities to one another. So our community is just an amazing place for designers and people in the no-code space who are in their journey, building their businesses and collaborating, network, making lifelong friendships. And of course, we have our team of expert mentors who are helping them, answering questions, whether it's on Framer, Webflow, freelancing, whatever it is. We're here to help. We're hosting office hours every week. So you are, in a true fashion, becomes kind of like a part of the Flux Academy, Flux Academy family. Awesome, Ryan. Thanks so much. I'm really excited. I know we've run some students and people throughout the course. What have people been telling you?
Yeah, it's been really cool to kind of see people transform their own sort of behavior as designers and start to level up. We've seen designers from literally all around the globe start to use Framer and start to sell it to clients, which has been awesome to see. And I think kind of the biggest thing that I've found and most grateful for is just the confidence that the students that are coming through actually have with transforming their Figma design and actually turning that into a real life thing that's actually interactive and published on the internet. I think that's been like the real one thing that's kind of stood above everything else is this, just like this unlock of creativity. Like it gives you the opportunity to actually like build something more, not something static, but actually something interactive. And I think that's been the one thing throughout that's just been, really incredible to see.
So I'm checking the comments, and not surprisingly, the main question that arises is for people, okay, so Webflow or Framer, which one do
Yeah.
you choose? Why do you choose this or the other? And, I'm well known as kind of like face of Webflow education. I've been promoting that for years. And I know that you've also been using Webflow, but you've kind of like made your bet on Framer. So I'd love to hear you talk about that. What kind of made you switch? How do you see the differences? Why do you pick one or the other?
Yeah, I don't think it's a case of necessarily always going to have to pick one or the other and then dying on that stone. Like I think for some projects, Webflow works great, and for other projects, Framer works great. For example, if I want to build an e-commerce website, I'm either going with Shopify or Webflow. That's my kind of options. Framer probably isn't the right solution for that. But what I've found, and especially coming from Framer, if I'm building a pretty traditional sort of like client site, which is for me like a marketing website or a startup website or something along those lines, even something a bit more advanced, like I can actually do this within Framer at a quicker speed than I ever could in Webflow, which just like shocked me initially because I always thought I was pretty quick at Webflow, and it was just like that in itself was a game changer. And then Framer, because of the intuitiveness of it, and it felt like I like to describe Framer as like the no code builder for Generation Figma, because it just feels so familiar to me as someone who comes from Figma and designs in Figma every single day. Then jumping into Framer, like the process feels so organic and so native, and it just flows really easily that I can actually build quicker in Framer. And I actually found like the learning process a lot easier. I think obviously coming from Framer as well, like that's a big part of it. But I know that it's a bunch of people in the course that have tried Webflow. They still find it a little bit complex. They don't really understand HTML and CSS and those sort of principles that still apply to Webflow, and they want to still build that same complexity, but in a much more intuitive way for designers. And I really do think that's where Framer's winning right now. They're winning over designers because it is so intuitive, and it really is the no-code builder for Generation Figma. And I think that in itself is just like huge potential for designers.
Yeah, I love how you explained it. I have like my perspective on this is I thought about this metaphor of, car versus bicycle. Like they're both designed to take you from place A to place B, but each one has its pros and cons. And I shared this on Twitter, and people were like, "But who is the car and who is the bicycle?" Yeah, and like, and it's funny because yesterday I'm a big bicycle guy, and yesterday I was taking my kids on the bicycle, and my kids asked me, "Dad, what's faster, like a car or a bicycle?" And I was like, you know what? That really depends, because if you put them on a really straight road, yeah, obviously the car is going to win. But usually here on this road, there's traffic. And so the bicycle, we can move right quickly and pass everybody. So I think and also like people have different preferences, right? And it's okay to say, well, I prefer this tool and I prefer this tool. I think when when I started seeing the hype about Framer, I kind of felt a little bit, I don't know if religiously, like about, no, I'm a Webflow person and I will never try anything else. But now I'm at this point where like, you know what, different people can do different things. And some people just enjoy one tool rather than the other. Each one has its pros and cons, and so it's why limit yourself on one thing unless it's. And I can definitely feel that the what's called sunk cost bias. Just because you're already very invested in one platform, there's a big kind of like you feel like you're wasted everything that you've invested. But I actually think that for people who are coming to Framer from Webflow, the transition is going to be rather easy, and they might be able to benefit from that. So I see a question in the chat. Do you go over best practice for building clients and handoff sites in Framer? Webflow has a great system for billing clients direct. By the way, Webflow has canceled the client billing, so they no longer has that. But what's your take on that, Ryan?
Sure. Can you just repeat the question, Ryan, and just drop it out for me?
So what is the best practice for billing clients or doing the handover? How do you handle the handover and the billing for client websites?
For sure. So there's actually two different ways, and it really depends on your relationship with the client. So normally we get to an end of a website design project, and there's two different paths we can take. Number one, we give them the site and we say goodbye. We say good luck, and that's about it. And for a lot of clients, that's fine. And the power of a site like Framer is it's very visual, so they can kind of handle most of it themselves. You might get a couple of like support emails come in, but majority of the things they can do themselves. The other part of it is where you actually offer them some sort of retainer, and you're actually kind of providing an additional service or a maintenance to kind of support them as their site grows and becomes something bigger. So when we take these two approaches and we think about these in Framer, there's actually two different ways we can hand a site off to a client. The first one is to give them the remix link, and we can do this in Framer. And if we go out to our dashboard, and actually, Marianne, maybe we can show this now. I can share my screen and we can do this. Let me load up this. Beautiful. So say this is my client website, and if I wanted to hand it off to a client, what do I do? So the first option here is to send them a remix link. So if I go to file and copy remix link, essentially this has generated a link here. And if I paste this link into my browser, which I won't do because this is part of the course content and we'll save that. But if I did, it essentially creates a link that someone can duplicate this project. So it essentially just works as a similar to a Figma link, where if I share the link with someone, they can view this project, but will open up as a new thing in their account, which means it's completely separate to what is here. So that's one way to do it, and that's probably the most simple way to do it. The other way is to actually invite someone to this project. So if you are hosting a retainer, for this project here, I would go in and I would push this site live on a custom domain, and then I would go through and I would invite my clients. Now I would invite them so they can edit the site, or if you want to be real nasty, you can make it so they can just view only, and they just ham you for different feedbacks. But the other way is just to add them as a collaborator, and then you all kind of have access to this project, but you still own this project. It's still under your account, and then you kind of manage the billing through them. So again, it really depends on what you're trying to do and what your sort of relationship is with the client. But overall, it's really simple to kind of transition your project into someone else's account.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that. There's another question here about automations and connecting Framer site to Zapier and stuff like that. I don't think, do we touch on that on the course? Like or is it possible? Like how does that work?
Yeah, so it depends, again, what you want to do. Right now, it's not native to do within Framer. They don't have an API. I believe they're starting to work on something, but it might be a little bit of time before that actually works. So if you want to, connect Zapier or do any sort of automations, there's not too much you can do. There are a couple of custom workarounds that's out there in the community, and you can use what's called overrides or code components to potentially build that. I know, for example, there's some custom form solutions that allow you to kind of integrate into Zapier, but by default you can't just automatically integrate into Zapier yet. I'm sure that the Framer team have this just coming at them every single day, so I'm sure they're working on something. And Framer ship new things every single week. They're really good at closing the loop with customers, actually shipping new things on a regular basis. So I'm sure it will come. But if that is a guarantee that you need in your site, I still kind of think that Webflow might be the best option for that.
Got it. That's interesting. One thing that I did notice is how fast they move, which is really impressive. The rate in which they're shipping new, new features, how they move fast on the AI was super impressive. Recently, I just saw that they've made a deal with like Premium Font Foundry to bring like premium fonts, which is a really interesting, I think, decision, which I love, to allow designers who want to create high-end websites. So usually designers a lot of times would opt for the free Google fonts, which is not always kind of like the highest quality. So the fact that Framer is really design focused and has, you know, designer as a founder, I think it leads them to make decisions that are, yeah, very design oriented, which I like. And so, yeah, and I agree with you. I've been impressed by the rate in which they're shipping. And so, yeah, hopefully they move fast on that, because, yeah, automations are super important.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Super. All right. I think, Ryan, let's wrap it up for today. If you want to learn more about Ryan and his story and all the really cool thing that he is doing, tomorrow we'll be launching a podcast episode, a deep dive together with like a conversation between us with all of Ryan's story and, you know, how he got to where he is today, which is super, super interesting. So that will be dropping on YouTube tomorrow and podcasting platforms. And remember, as I've mentioned, we got the early bird pricing until Friday only. So don't miss out on this opportunity. It's a great course. Stay at the cutting edge of tools that are happening right now. You get lifetime access to updates. And as we said, framers are shipping fast and we'll be updating, making sure that the course is up to date. So make sure you check that. Ryan, any famous last words?
We'll see you on the other side.
See you on the other side. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.
Bye.